Okay, we're now reading Siman Tafkuf Peihet in the tool. It's chapter 588, Ilchot Rosh HaShana, where he speaks about the order of Tekiot. And he says the following: Bazman ha'ra'ui litkoa kitzad. You have to blow the shofar on the right time. When is the right time for blowing shofar? Kitzad mishat hanetzach hama ad halayla, from sunrise till the night. It doesn't say what exactly is night. That's another discussion. But it says hanetzach hama, sunrise, and that's how we usually understand, right? That sunrise is the beginning of the day in whatever has to do with the observance of mitzvot. דתנן כל היום כשר לתקיעת שופר, ואם תקע משעלה עמוד השחר יצא, אבל בלילה לא. But what happens if one miscalculated, or because of an emergency, let's say military service or anything like that, he had to blow the shofar early, משעלה עמוד השחר, after dawn, after the break of dawn, before sunset, before sunrise, and the break of dawn is calculated by different authorities. I mean, the halachic authorities differently. Some say it's 52 minutes before sunrise, and some say it's 72 minutes before sunrise. So the earliest that one would be able to blow the shofar and fulfill the mitzvah is after the break of dawn. And the shulchan-aruch says the following: Zman tkiat shofar bayom velo balayla. You have to blow shofar during the day, not at night. Mitzvata, that the ideal way to do it is after sunrise. But if he did it after dawn, he is covered to fulfill his obligation. If it started a little before sunrise, before break of dawn, and the rest was after the break of dawn, he did not fulfill his obligation. Now, interesting to note here, in the commentary of Rabbi Yosef on the tool, he quotes the source in the Mishnah. Kol hayom kasher litkiat shofar. That's in the Mishnah in Masechet Megillah. Happens to appear not in the Mishnah that deals with the laws of Rosh HaShana, but with the laws of Purim, because there the Mishnah speaks of when is the right time to read the Megillah. And the Mishnah says the following: that you have to do several things during the day. The mitzvah of those things are in the day, and day means from sunrise. What are they? En korin et Megillah. You have to do Megillah and Brit Milah, or Tvilah when you have to go to the mikveh to purify yourself, or Haza'ah, sprinkle the when they had that paraduma, the potion of the red heifer on the person to become pure. You can only do it with sunrise. But if you did it after the break of dawn, it is fine. And the Talmud brings the proof why it is called day after the break of dawn. What is the importance of sunrise? Once you see the sunrise, you know for sure it's day. But before that, you're still in doubt whether the morning is broken or not. He says that technically the break of dawn marks the beginning of the day, but because we cannot tell the exact moment, we have to wait till sunrise. So this is an important statement, because in the Jewish world today we still follow everything in terms of halakha from sunrise. But there's certain things that you would have said, like for example, when you stay up all night and you have to pray early in the morning, when you have to travel, could you pray me'alot hashahar or not? What is the halakha on that? So Rabbi Haim Medini, in a different discussion in Sadeh Hamed, Rabbi Haim Medini was born in Hebron and then served as a rabbi in communities in Russia, in the Crimea, in Krasov Bazar. So he got in touch with a lot of rabbis from all over the world. He wrote a halachic encyclopedia called Sadeh Hamed, and there he discusses a situation that in his city, in Krasov Bazar, there was a serious problem on Sukkot with the etrog, because there was only one etrog for the whole city. And in order to use the etrog, all the minyanim, even if you take turns, you cannot get enough time to do the etrog. So the first minyan would come early in the morning, say the bracha for the etrog, and then pray. So the earliest minyan would use the etrog before sunrise. And then there were some people who complained that you cannot hold the etrog before sunrise because you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. So he brought this discussion, and his conclusion is, he made a long discussion there, and his conclusion was, like Rashi says here, and like other sources show, the reason that we determined the beginning of the day as sunrise is not biblical, it's rabbinical. The rabbis were, in order to mark the beginning of the day, they took something that they took an event that is clear to everyone, because they didn't have accurate means to measure time. We are so used today to having clocks and the watches everywhere. It's ubiquitous. Your iPhone, wherever you go, there's something that marks the time. But they didn't have it back then, so they relied on their eyes. So usually, when can you clearly see that it's daylight? When it's sunrise. And they had the same problem at night. The Gemara speaks about a case where the day was cloudy, and people thought Shabbat is over. They prayed Arvit, and then the clouds disappeared, and they see the sun. It's about 2.5 hours left for Shabbat. So what do you do? We live in a completely different environment. This is already Rabbi Haim Ovadia 150 years ago says, now that we have watches, you could rely on that when you need to determine the day as beginning with the break of dawn. So that's an important thing to have in mind. As I said, if you stayed up all night, or if you need to be traveling, if you need to travel and you need to leave early, the break of dawn is 100% considered a day. That also sheds light, or I would say sheds darkness, on a new minhag that we have recently, the last couple of decades, and that is praying with Hanetzah Hama. People like to pray with sunrise, right? So the idea of praying at sunrise, again, not biblical. It's not biblical because at the time of the Tanakh there was no established prayer. But there is a pasuk, Yiraucha im shemesh velifnei areach dor dorim. They will revere you with sunrise. The rabbis brought up the idea that for many nations, pagan nations, the sun is a source of energy, and they worship it as a deity. So to counteract that, they said we Jews have to rise up early, and while they are praying to the sun, we pray to God. So there's a great value in praying with sunrise. Now, when the rabbi said that, and when we take into account what Rabbi Haim Ovadia says and what the Gemara says, when they said pray at sunrise, they did not mean the exact moment of sunrise. They meant around sunrise. They were not, unless you pray outside and you stand there and you wait, because otherwise, and this is unfortunately what happens today, because we have the means to measure time, you would have in the synagogue the atomic clock, and you have someone who's in charge of making sure that you pray, that when they say pray is to start the Amidah, Hashem Sfatay Tiftah, at the moment of sunrise. So today, sunrise is, let's say, 5:32 minutes and 14 seconds, hopefully not with the hundreds of seconds, right? So they start the tefillah, and when they get to this point, they realize that they're not going to make it on time to start Hashem Sfatay Tiftah with sunrise. So they start speeding up. Then realize, we have 30 seconds left. Slow down. And everybody's waiting to see that is that 14 seconds? Hashem's Fatah Tiftah. And you know what happens at that moment? You know what happens at that moment? The pasuk in Tehillim. Yosef b'shamayim Yishak Adonai yil'ag lamo. Hashem is laughing at them. Sorry to tell you, anyone who prays like that, Hashem laughs at him. And he says, you fool, you think this is tefillah, that you are waiting for the right second to pray? You think if you pray before or after, you slow down, you rush. This is not tefillah.
So you're not supposed to pray very fast, right?
Not very fast, not very slow. Not very fast, not very slow. But when you pray with intonation. Instead of going fast, you don't do the hazara. That's better. That's better than going fast and doing hazara. But in any case, I'm saying the foolish thing here is to think that God has a special moment in which to address him. And again, this is unfortunate, but I don't know if you got there are WhatsApp messages and emails that people are sending according to Hasidut, according to Kabbalah. Now is the time to pray. The 9th hour of the 9th month of the 9th year. Avodah Zarah. Nothing less than that. Anyway, so basically you could blow shofar again. Yeah, clearly, right. Okay, next halakha. Interesting. שמע 9 תקיעות מ9 בני אדם כגון תקיעה מזה ותרועה מזה אחר כך. What is the halakha? If I don't know why this would happen to that person, but someone happened to hear 9 sounds of shofar. We'll talk about the number soon. 9 sounds of shofar from 9 different people. He hears tekiah here, and then an hour later he hears teruah somewhere else, and so tekiah, does it count or not? Of course not. אפילו ב9 שעות ששהו בהן הרבה, and not only that, it was not at the same time. It was spread all over the day. Yetza fulfilled his obligation. Right? Sounds strange. So we want to know where the number 9 comes from, because if we ask anyone how many times you blow the shofar, everybody knows it's 101. Or 100 plus 1. The one at the end, the Torah Gedolah, is additional, but you have to. How do we get to 100 voices? Where do they come from? So, the article I sent out this week, if you want to give you a printout of that, I show that the minhag at the time of the yeshivot in Bavel was to blow the shofar 30 times. Then they added in the Amidah another 30, and then they did in the Hazara another 30, to became to 90, and then in the time of the Shla Kadosh, in the Rabbi Yishayahu Levi Horvitz, based on Kabbalistic texts in the 15th and 16th century, they rounded up to 100 for whatever reasons, but the number grew. But if you want to know what was the original number according to the rabbis, according to the Torah, in the Torah, all we have is Zichron Teruah Yelachem. It will be for you a day of Teruah, of raising voice. And the rabbis say we don't even know, it's not written clearly in the Torah that you blow the shofar. Maybe you blow trumpets. They say, but we learn by comparing to other psukim about the year of the Yovel, of the Jubilee, that you blow the shofar. Fine. But let's look at the Mishnah. This is in Rosh HaShana, Lamed Gimel Amud Bet, 33, side 2. This is what the Mishnah says about the order of Tekiot. Seder Tekiot, Shalosh, Shel Shalosh Shalosh. How many Tekiot do you have to hear? 3 sets of 3 voices each. Why 3 sets? Because we have 3 brachot on Rosh Hashanah, Malchuyot, Zichronot, Shofarot. One that speaks about the concept of the sovereignty of God. One of the Zichronot, that Hashem is omniscient and remembers everything, and we should also remember our actions. And one Shofarot that speaks about Shofar. So 3 sets of 3 each. What are the 3? Shi'ur Teki'ah Ke-3 Teruot, Shi'ur Teruah Ke-3 Yevavot. The sounds of the tekiah is as long as 3 teruot, and the sound of the teruah is as long as 3 yevavot, which are very short voices. So we only have 2 voices here, tekiah and teruah.
The teruah is like 9 times.
Teruah is tu, yeah.
9 times enough.
That's what we do. That's what we call today teruah, 9 times. But let's see what happens. So how do we get from 3? So according to the Mishnah, it's tki'ah, tu'ah, tki'ah. You get to the baracha, and the tki'ah does toot, done. Maybe, something like that. 3 times, and that's it. That's the whole order of Rosh Hashanah. So how did we get here from what was back then? The Gemara says the following. Atkin Rabbi Avhu beKesari. Remember, we spoke about Rabbi Avhu in Caesarea and his cosmopolitan synagogue, Greeks, Romans, Jews from all over the world. Each one comes with his custom. And it turned out that when they came to his synagogue, I mean, the Gemara doesn't say that, but it's obvious from when you read it. When they came to the synagogue on Rosh Hashanah, those Jews from all over the world, and they blow the shofar, and they say, we have to do a broken voice. So they call one, the Baal Tokah goes up, and he does a broken voice, and people start yelling at him, that's not a broken voice, that's not how you do it. He said, that's how we do it in my shul. He says, no, here we do it differently. How do you do it? So another one goes up. Okay, but the next year they fight over the reverse version of that. So what were the two versions? One of them would do what we call today shevarim, and the other one was what we call today terroir. So Rabbi Avu has this ongoing conflict. Some people want to hear that some people want to hear that right, and it's all based on the way supposedly people weep or cry. Do you cry like That's the question, okay? So Rabbi Avu found an easy solution, just like he did with tekiot me'umad u'miyushav. He says, we'll blow some tekiot standing and some sitting. Here also, let's accommodate everyone, which was a very common solution at the time of the Talmud in the 3rd, 4th century. That's also, they did the same thing, by the way, in Birkot HaShahar. Give you one example. When they were finalizing the version of Birkot HaShahar, they say, what is the beracha after reliving yourself? What is the end of the beracha? Some say, Rofe kol basar. Another one said, no, you say Rofe holim. Another one said, no, you say Mafli la'asot. So the solution was, let's say all of them. Rofe, holi, kol basar, Mafli la'asot. Then eventually the word holi dropped out, and we have Rofe kol basar, Mafli la'asot, which is a combination of two different versions of the beracha that existed in two different communities. Same thing with the shofar. Oh, you do two, you do two, we put it together. So the Gemara says, Itkin Rabbi Avu beKesari tki'a, shlosha shevarim tu'a tki'a. Oh, that we know, tashrat, right? Long one, broken one, smaller broken one, and then a long one, right? Gemara says, no, that's not good. Why? Mima nafshach iyalu leyalil la'avid tu'a ignuhe ganach la'avid shlosha shevarim. What you have to decide, how do you understand weeping voice, crying, that's supposed to be tu'ah? Is it, or, right? What is it? You have to do one or the other. You can't do both. So the Gemara says, no, he doesn't, he has a safek. He's not sure which one is which, so he wants to cover all angles. So now the Talmud brings up another problem. But if you say that one of them is valid and one of them is not, okay? So let's call them now, to be easier, instead of like me imitating the voices, the 1/9 and the 1/3, right? One voice, the shvarim, is a third, broken into 3, and one is a 9th, broken into 9. So, if you say that one of them is valid, let's say only the 9th is valid. So you do a whole, a third, a 9th, and a whole, right? So there was an interruption. It was not in order because you stuck in something which is not valid. If you just to cover for yourself, you can't add in a voice that is not valid. Is it kosher or not? So what you're doing is kosher voice, non-kosher voice, kosher. One of them is not good, so you can't stick it in. So they said, no, he does so that's how we got to the whole order. So they say to cover all possibilities, we do now 1/3 and 1, 1/9 and 1, and 1/3, 9th, 1. We covered everything, right? No, there's one more combination. 1, 9th, 3rd, and 1, meaning long tki'ah, then 2, and then 2. Why don't we do that? The Gemara answers, because people don't cry like that. If you cry, you start with and then that's how you. So they try to cover all possibilities of what Torah is, but they didn't. The bottom line, which is interesting, is no one was clear on what is the Torah, and because of that, they were afraid that they're not doing the right voice. Could have been according to the pshat of the Torah. If you just go without the order, just as what the Torah says, Zichron Torah, there was just one long voice that was supposed to be blown. But the Mishnah says 9, 3 sets of 3, and they expanded it to 10. and then it kept on going. Even today, there's still a mahloket, there's still a divide. In most communities around the world, below the shofar, the Torah is you hear like staccato, you hear the broken voices, and then the Iraqi and the Yemenite communities do more like a ululation. Now, what happened if you heard one and you didn't hear the other? Right? You're good. You're covered because it's a valid custom, and people do that. So, God is happy with either that you do. There are some people who don't think like that. Last year, someone approached me on Rosh HaShana, and he said, "I think you have to blow the shofar again because we're not Yotzei Yadei Hava." I said, "Don't worry, you're covered." He says, "I don't think so." I said, "Okay, let me know next Rosh Hashanah if you're still alive. That means that God is happy with you." And Baruch Hashem. No, I didn't tell him that. I was just that. But Baruch Hashem, he's still alive, so it's good. Baruch Adonai. Amen. Amen.